Hello there, I'm MountPain27, and this is Dean of Doom, the show where we give grades to classic and contemporary Doom wads. Why? Because ranking things is fun. Today's episode will be dedicated to Abscission, a vanilla Doom 2 megawad released in 2023 by Snaxalotl. Development for Abscission, which means the act of cutting off, began immediately after Snaxalotl's ultimate Doom replacement, Stickney Installation. Snax went many extra miles by concurrently composing 26 original MIDIs and rounding out the soundtrack with 3 Stickney pieces for a total of 2 hours of original music. Just as Stickney's maps took inspiration from their corresponding Doom 1 map slots, Abscission's levels use Doom 2's as templates, but stray much further on average from their source material, especially towards the end. I began writing this episode more than 2 years after Abscission reached idgames, and midway through I began to feel that I'd made a mistake putting this off for so long, as my enthusiasm for it was no longer fresh. However, I developed a new and deeper appreciation for it by persevering, and today I'd like to share some of that with you. Here's how the show works. Every map gets 1 grade for quality and 1 for difficulty. Quality grades go from A to F. Grade A levels are fun, memorable, visually distinctive, creative, and a fair challenge. We grade difficulty from X to E. X for extreme, E for easy, A through D in between. Remember that disagreeing is part of the fun, and at the end of the day, this show is about spreading the joy of Doom. So let's do so. The rules are we play on ultraviolence and must pistol start each level. I need to play the wad twice before reviewing it. Saves are allowed, and we go for 100% kills in all levels, making exceptions when it's just not worth it. I play on Z-Doom, and today's compatibility is vanilla. Now, to the wad. Map 1, Arrival. Familiar? Undoubtedly. But something's a little off. Arrival ends in under a minute if you can start a chainsaw and know where the secrets are. Like Entryway, it uses unconventional methods to hide a green armor and rocket launcher. Arrival is tone perfect, but like its inspiration, barely there. Grade B, difficulty E. Map 2, Water Purifier. An almost beat-for-beat remake of Underhall's, Water Purifier has shotgunners behind bars, shotgunners hiding bigger shotguns, and the standard quotas of concrete, pipes, barrels, blue, and did I mention shotgunners. It also mandates sprinting to finish the map, but goes further than McGee did, gracefully linking sections together with jumps. I like the sequence where you get ambushed as soon as you learn how to escape this room, and the drop down to the blue key, which makes the super shotgun somewhat more necessary. Note that this type of bronze door is almost always locked or impassable in Abscission. Water Purifier is handsomely lit and indeed entirely potable. Grade B+, difficulty D-. Map 3, Hydroelectric Grid. Another rapid Doom 2 rewrite, Hydroelectric Grid pitches you into a perimeter of fresh fodder for your new chain gun. Find the stealth boy in the corner for even more comfortable culling. Abscission doesn't Doom cute in the micro-doodling modern sense, but occasionally it will use details like these streetlights to suggest the real world. The effect can be quite absorbing. There's not much these grass-fed goons can do when you're backpacked and armed with a boomstick. A gantlet it is not. Grade B, difficulty E. Map 4, Service Tunnels. Remember the dark hallway in Doom 2 Map 4 where you could turn on the lights? In Abscission, there are no light switches. Service Tunnels makes you commit to a left or right turn until you find the key at the end of either wing. Yellows in storage, and reds in a cage surrounded by sludge. There's a secret super shotgun for the bold, which doubles as backdoor access to the shotgunner booths. While none of Abscission's opening maps grab me with their particulars, they succeed at 1. Propelling me forward, 2. Evoking a Doom 2 Mandela effect, and 3. Keeping me from getting comfortable. Grade B, difficulty E. Map 5, Sludge Conduit. Snaxalotl manages to compress an awful lot of gunslinging into a 5-minute loop, but cannot improve its inspiration's dour setting. I'm embarrassed to admit that I died twice, in the sewer shootout and in the ambush by the blue door. Not for nothing, those quiet Kako ambushes are evil. The pitch-dark blue key fight is packed with specters just to screw with anybody who draws the rocket launcher, and there's a secret compartment with a bulk cell for someone smart enough to find a gun that takes it. Cross the exit bridge, and you have left Abscission's honeymoon phase behind. Grade B-, difficulty D. Map 6, Slag Dump. And suddenly, the dread that has been a whisper in your ear for half an episode becomes a howl. Slag Dump is Abscission's first horror map, and one of its most hostile environments. On top of the crushers, balance beaming, and barrels parked right in your face, there's the treacherous sightline situation. There are so many corners for enemies to hide behind and slivers for them to shoot through, and after the cage bars raise, you have to flee or be swarmed by hellspawn. The plasma is capped at 120 rounds, and it's a nervous pleasure to unload them in short, controlled bursts. bursts. Along with the Stickney MIDI and the light slowly dying in the center area, the countdown to 0 cells is the primary source of torque on atmospheric tension. The final fight reimagines MIDIs with crushers, but I was too flush with Megasphere to worry. In a rare gesture of goodwill, Abscission returns the orb it denied you at the start if you check behind the mastermind. Grade A-, difficulty C+. Map 7, Corroded Ruins. That's an interesting way to spell dead simple. I bungled this fight as badly as you can bungle it without dying, but I think my footage captures how quickly the crossfire can cut you in half if you try to fully prepare before shooting. The weak damage slime is an excellent intensifier, as is the last Mancubus kill trigger, which turns the spider snipers into infantry. I would say Corroded Ruins suffers for its on-brand brevity, but it's a memorable minute. Elastic, energetic, and hard to get a handle on. Grade B, difficulty D. Map 8. Demon Core. Or should I say, Tricks and Snax. To call this one of Abscission's least interesting maps is essentially a compliment, but the heavy reliance on Doom 2 tropes limits my enjoyment of Demon Core somewhat. The Cyber Demon's debut gets mishmashed with Sandy's famous Kako Coop, there's a pinky powwow by the rocket launcher, the chain gun comes packaged with a pain elemental, and this time the big fight with monsters descending from the ceiling does not give you a free invulnerability. Not that it's close to plagiarism, but there comes a time when homage crosses into ho-hum. I'm not sure how well known a fact this is, but Snax is one of Doomdom's finest pinky herds. I can count the maps I've played with exciting chainsaw action on one hand, and this big pork chop makes Demon Core one of them. Thumbs up on this MIDI, also. The decaying synths, relentless beat, and thunderous timpani rolls play pinball with your peace of mind. Grade B-, difficulty C+. Map 9, Haydall Facility. Pick a number. Any number. Haydall Facility is an underground dungeon delve that tugs you many directions at once. It woos you with treasure rooms, nags you with impediment grunts and sidelong snipers, and jangles your nerves with more clockwork MIDI paranoia. Even amusing images like the fallen cafeteria are downturned. The ruins are split into blue and yellow key hemispheres, and you'll need one of them to backtrack to the starting room. The pressure to keep off poison is mostly psychological, but wandering monsters, especially lost souls, can disrupt your balance without a double barrel to banish them. Surprises await on the walkways and off of them. You might want to shortcut through the slime, but you only get one rad suit, and there's always a safe way forward. The final fight's ferocity is deterrent enough against wasting health and makes it pay to be thorough. Even a blind man would bump into a berserk, but the rocket launcher and plasma rifle both take some digging to find. You'll definitely want them both. Grade B+, difficulty C. Map 10, Industrial Crypt. Here begins a hot streak for Abscission. This engrossing concrete Goliath, painted in shadow and vine, is brimming with breakneck fights and hidden prizes. Its two wings expand into nukage drain sites where high-stakes battles and hazmat suits are staged and converge back to the exit in the center. All 3 keys are required to exit, so there's no backing out of parts you don't like. Improbably, I'm once again using the chainsaw with all these pinkies and pain elemental attacks of opportunity falling in my lap, but there is enough firepower to keep your head above water if you don't feel like trying survivor mode. Industrial Crypt secrets would make Tom Hall proud. There's secrets buried and shootable, long jumps, ledge parkour with hurt floor, and more. There are 9 in total, including a BFG, Megasphere, and invulnerability, all of which can be leveraged against Industrial Crypt's #1 citizen if you know about him. Refueling Base's famous zombie hallway just got a lot more interesting. It's a syringe of fear to the heart, elbowing through undead with hydraulic hooves pounding behind you. Cyber cat and mouse games will become a calling card of this WOD, but the first one is still my favorite. It's a clear and beautiful arc from I'm dead to I got this. Industrial Crypt is the complete package. Crackling action, tasty side quests, and a killer setting. Grade A, difficulty B. Map 11, Sarcophagus. The O of my God. How much could there possibly be to admire about one circular arena fight in a bunch of squares? I'm glad you asked. In 5 minutes, Sarcophagus transforms an iconic Doom 2 structure into a time bomb, wraps the episode on a boss fight, and steals the breath from your gaping mouth. You have about 30 seconds before the slime rises, freeing the cyber to wander, and the red key unlocks an archvile and more lost souls, but also a mega armor and enough cells to vaporize everything in the map twice over. The point of Sarcophagus isn't to kill you. The point is to reveal the truth. You and everything else on Earth are already gone. From the brush with that first specter, to the shimmering descent surrounded by tall tombstones, Sarcophagus has been trying to tell you, I see dead people. Doomguy may have to lie down now, but unfortunately for him and for Hell, the torments will continue. Our hero is a lucid dreamer. Grade A, difficulty C+. Map 12, Outer Plane. Long time no see, Monolith. Thanks to a MIDI made of one slowly oscillating tone and some bumps, Outer Plane moves with the syrupy slowness of sleep. Each teleporter takes you to a scene from Outer Plane's Doom 2 correlative reconstructed with a closed eye. I remember these encounters from the factory, but I know this is not how they actually go. It's like meeting someone in a dream, and you know their name, but you can't say it aloud. After each vignette, you get a skull switch to press. The icon of Sin watches over everything from the void. After you take all 4 teleporters, the perimeter spiders will be crushed, but you can leave before that if you wish. Outer Plane is one of Abscission's easiest maps, and individual moments in it elude my memory's grasp, but the thick ambience and ominous ending are well directed. Grade B, difficulty D-. Map 13, Prophetic Vision. Witness the power of the human brain. What do you do when you hear this sound? You panic, right? Panic is not a thought, it's an instinct. And with enough willpower, the brain can defy instinct. It can make a scared body stand still, or fight, or even bring it down to a state of calm if there really is no danger. Prophetic Vision is 2 distinct experiences. The first is facing a small city of demons repopulating before your eyes, running underarmed from a cyber demon, beating your fists against walls that weren't there before while the icon spits away. It's exactly like a nightmare. You're stuck, powerless, and afraid. This is your mind detached from its senses, at the mercy of your subconscious fears. The second experience emerges when you realize that the fear is illusory. Snax's spawn spot placement ensures that no more than 1 out of every 8 icon-generated monsters will enter the map. With eyes unclouded by anxiety, you can spot kingly ammo caches and climb the rubble to an office building with a BFG. Now, instead of running from the boogeyman, you can confront him. Prophetic Vision's modest appearance magnifies the psychological point it's making. Turn off the icon and you have relatively forgettable downtown fanfiction, but even when you're fully convinced that this sound isn't going to hurt you, it changes your entire perception. It's a revelatory use of the icon of Sin. The further Snax strays from her templates, the better for all of us. Grade A, difficulty C+. Map 14, Oasis. Like a cool washcloth on fevered foreheads of first-time Abscissioners, Oasis provides temporary relief, but doesn't cure the sickness. I've seen a lot of Inmost Ends iterations, and this one cleaves awfully close to McGee, but a healthy dose of Casali offsets some of it. If you don't have a whack at these lantern-lit thugs, you'll have to trip into some lead before you see what I mean. When you master Prophetic Vision, Oasis becomes more of a bore and less of a balm, but I do appreciate the twofold comfort it provides. It's partly recuperative and partly familiar. Grade B-, difficulty D+. Map 15, Collapse. A once proud town now consumed by a hellborn sinkhole. Collapse dims the lights, reaffixes the IV drip to your arm, and pumps the dread in. Drums like distant gunfire, synths like sedatives. Right around the corner is another cyber demon, and he will dictate the map's pace of play. Unless you're a reader, you'll be stuck with the shotgun for the first few minutes, but the chain gun and rocket launcher still aren't anti-goat hardware, and other threats demand attention too. Snaxalotl reframes Romero's run-and-gun into a tense dance of 2 predators and their prey that slowly expands as you advance the plot. After reaving the blue key cave, you'll leave with a BFG and access to several supply rooms, but Hell takes notice. A small army of zombies, imps, cacos, and pain elementals will throng the underground. Whether Syme's maraud helps or hurts your cause, he too will have to die in the end. Collapse would float on suspense alone, but deciphering the secrets, whether in post-mortem quiet or with metal hooves stomping away, is a pleasure all on its own. The nested secret exit is particularly satisfying to discover, but are you sure you want to see what Abscission chose to hide away? Grade A, difficulty B-. Map 31, Reanimator. At the bottom of the elevator, there lies a churning engine surrounded by spindly doctors and their pets. As the slow piston descends, the engine utters a terrible groan. If you dawdle, you'll be ejected from this place when an off-screen Romero's head dies, so vanquish the vials and cybers as quickly as you can, then shoot the eye switch at 9 o'clock to open the super secret exit. Reanimator is slight and a bit confusing, as it has no physical standard exit, but I think of it as a sort of backstage pass to Hell's machinations, which sets the tone for an even more primordial scene should you choose to delve deeper. Grade C+, difficulty C+. Before proceeding to map 32, make sure that you're playing in true vanilla compatibility, or that your port is set to emulate an intercepts overflow bug. Map 32, Bed of Creation. This is barely a place. It has 3 dimensions, but no physical substance, only varying thicknesses of non-existence. Walls mean nothing, and there is no such thing as touch. Even light is held captive by rigid borders of antimatter. You are not alone in this twilight world. 30 ethereal spirits will stalk you through halls inscribed with unspeakable sigils, blank tombstones, and pitch darkness, all the way to the frayed frontier of perception. They can't do blast damage, but lacking black magic powers of your own, you can't harm them at all, so there's nothing to do but run for your death. The exit ticks you down to nothing and boots you out. Though there's little resembling Doom gameplay here, Bed of Creation is a fascinating science experiment, and that's exactly what the 32 slot is for. Dealing a crippling strike to the Doom engine itself and then making you escape the unraveling is one of the boldest and most alien challenges I've seen in my travels. Snaxalotl is one of the great acolytes of cosmic horror. Grade A, difficulty B-. Map 16, Cold Ascent. Looking way down on the sidewalks, encircled by lifeless office buildings, Cold Ascent is a pitched fight atop a twisted high-rise lit by harsh lamps and glowering strobes. Bookshelves make everything look surreal. The hub is surrounded by a porch studded with columns, and the initial assault allows you to acclimate to the battlefield. The columns subtly constrict the playing space, and monsters can clog bridges to adjoining areas and leave you marooned. The build-up to the fireworks show is short. Cold Ascent gives you a rocket launcher with a red skull key and a plasma right before it starts. I hope you didn't greedily grab or accidentally bump into the invulnerability, because the megasphere might not cover you when an archvile-anchored horde of Mancubi, Revenants, Imps, and Cacos swoops in. The flashing electrical panel by the red key switch unlocks a BFG, which turns a white knuckler into a suburb-style massacre. Snaxalotl is an incredible rarity in this day and age, for more often making me wish her maps were longer than the opposite. Grade A-, difficulty B-. Map 17, Predation. No map in Abscission taxes me psychologically more than Predation. Ensnared in General Saib's most dangerous game, you will be pursued through bloody crevices, volcanic craters, and flooded caves with a minimum of firepower to sustain you. Through careful positioning of monster teleporters, Snax makes the cyberdemon roam the map as if operated by remote control. He appears around corners, and right before your eyes. He lingers within earshot just to savor your fear before finally knocking at the door. Survivors will bear the scars of narrow escapes. The hunter's presence makes it harder to concentrate on the very real threat of consumption by your fellows in the food chain. Warding off pain elementals with only the shotgun and scarce bullets induces anxiety by itself, but added to the slow encroach of the rocket goat and his hounds, it makes my heart squeeze and my mouse hand shake. The Boiling Grove is particularly harrowing for its archvile intrusion and one-way climbing path, and I nearly soiled myself at the end trying to open a door that's actually broken because the line defs are facing inward. What Plutonia's hunted was for me as a youth, Predation is now. I have genuine enmity towards cyberdemons that I don't have for any other monster. Undeniably, Predation is effective, but I do not look forward to playing it. Grade A-, difficulty A-. Map 18, Elder Shrine. One of the only maps in Doom 2 that compares to Abscission's sense of foreboding is Courtyard, so Elder Shrine is less transformation than Peterson remix with fancier decoration, with certain motifs creeping back to the fore, the enclosure and slime falls from map 10, the monolith centerpiece from maps 12 and 31, and the fiery showdown with half the level's kill count from map 16, Elder Shrine also seems intended as a sort of mid-megawad refrain. In the shadows of this red-eyed hall, Snax once again demonstrates her mastery of pinky pressure. Unless you bolt for Berserk or snag the SSG beforehand, this weird marble machine corridor will devour you, and it pays to refresh on your classics before charging into teleporters. Even with a secret BFG, the final fight won't crumble quite like Cold Ascent sense does. Health is scarcer than teeth on this grassy island, and you're hemmed in by 5 damage poison. Enjoyable and concise, Elder Shrine is guilty only of failing to reinvent the wheel, which Snax has already done about 5 times. Grade B+, difficulty B-. Map 19, Phosphine. Compared to the rest of the Undead City episode, the Snaxalotl moves at a glacial pace which befits its colossal exterior shots. How many vanilla megawads have you seen evoke such brutal grandeur? The massive stacks of wood, concrete blocks, and especially the wings' stepwise convergence to furnace reds are positively Sunderesque, but thankfully Phosphine is not that scary. Most folks will probably have a harder time figuring out the switch sequence that unlocks the blue key path than they will with cutting down the demons in their way. Save for 2 arachnotrons, there's not a single Doom 2 monster in this map, which testifies to Snaxalotl's extensive Ultimate Doom training. Whether it's gobbling up your ammo, warming up your left hook, or generally impeding your escape from harm's way, Team Pinky cannot be ignored. You might be wondering why I keep harping on the Pinky thing. I've seen thousands of great fights that feature Revenants, Archviles, Cyberdemons, Pain Elementals, Cacodemons. Some monsters lend themselves to starring roles, and some monsters are Pinkies, so to see Snaxalotl harness them in original and threatening ways is impressive. There's no skipping out of the Cyber Duel and the Ashen Arboretum. The exit stairs don't raise until you press 7 lion switches in a row, which feels like an improved Master Levels idea. Phosphine is the intake of breath before the episode's final statement. Grade B, difficulty B. Map 20, To Hieron. More Stickney E2M8 sequel than Romero rewrite, To Hieron is a bright flash of violence that spills across an already blood-drenched cave. 2 Archviles, 2 Cyberdemons, a Mastermind, and 5 Pain Elementals shout "Gotcha!" and the next few minutes is about making the Blur Sphere outlast the Chain Gunners, acquiring big guns, and whittling it down to just you, Thing 1, and Thing 2. To Hieron's anti-coward measure takes me out of Abscission's somberness for just a moment. A pair of stuck barons wriggle like worms on the hook in front of the exit teleporter and the switch that lowers it. To Hieron lacks the gravitas of the map you revisit at its end, but the action is incendiary. Grade B+, difficulty B-. Map 21, of Flesh and Fission. After an eon of fitful sleep, you awaken surrounded by medikits and scream, thinking you're in Nirvana. Nope. It's just of flesh and fission. According to the story text, Abscission's final third is about hell and earth melting into one, but that doesn't necessarily mean pentagrams and lava. In Abscission, hell is a state of mind, and it's been steeping in this wreckage for quite some time. Under cover of darkness, you'll need to dig a yellow skull from crumbling tunnels filled with shotgunners and poison, then negotiate 2 hot corridors without losing too much health to make it back to your oasis. You see, all the health you're going to get in this map is sitting back where you started, so you better kick ass in the Pain Elemental fight if you don't want to do like me and flee the Chain Gunner hallway like a ninny. Leveraging your fragility, Snax puts the screws to you down the stretch with a few handfuls of imps and Hell Knights. Crossing Innard's Bridge extracts its fare with snipers and long sightlines. Only the nimblest can pass without paying. Of Flesh and Fission ably engineers discomfort. The MIDIs slabs of bass even started peaking my game audio, but its sense of obligation to Peterson makes it clunkier than necessary. Grade B-, difficulty B+. Map 22, Mausoleum. Nasty to the uninitiated and strange to everybody. Dancing blocks, a floating Hell Knight, toll gates going nowhere, tall boxes, coffins propped up in the dark. I can't call it starvation because I've seen worse, but Snax keeps you on a strict resource diet unless you spot some skull switches. Non-damaging paths of light lead to a plasma and a cheat day sphere, but since they appear on the map, you can fumble through the dark with eyes on your Pip-Boy and still get them. 40 cells and 100 health makes all the difference when you're expected to lose most of your berserk, save all your bullets for Chain Gunner quick draws, and dump both rockets you get on a point-blank Baron or punch him to death. The reuse of Abscission's Dave D. Taylor blues makes an already taut atmosphere even more so. Grade B+, difficulty B. Map 23, Hazard Pay. Nope. There's no fun on Abscission. Only contemplating your pointless existence. Barrels of Serious Business is another shorty, and finds creative ways to be dangerous. Packed with disgruntled workers being watched by the big brains upstairs, the assembly line chugs away without a care in the world for QC. If it bleeds, burns, or blows up, ship it. The barrels are spread such that they mostly pop singly, which encourages gambling that they won't blow up near you instead of clearing them yourself. Through the yellow key door, there's a wicked pincer of Revenants, Pinkies, and another Archvile who will chase you right into a Pain Elemental's blood jacuzzi and a peeping mastermind. This caged company mascot is hiding a megasphere if you need to pick me up at any point, point, and I appreciate the meta commentary by the way. Given the choice, I would also lock up Peterson's Paint Elementals. A lot of roguish id Software charm rubbed off on Hazard Pay, but the mood is about to turn again. You all know what comes next. Grade B, difficulty B. Map 24, Abyssal Refuge. The Chasm is my favorite Doom 2 map, and I think it might be Snax's also, because Abyssal Refuge is the most faithful of Abscission's reimaginings. The requisite ledges and damaging floor are here, of course, but so is the Slimefall Room, those eerie red pillars, Central Command's resource cornucopia, pipe wall galore, even a BFG tucked away. The gameplay beats are also familiar, balance beaming to the shotgun through crisscrossing fireballs, piling pink corpses on blue carpet, getting surprised by wandering cacos and gnawed on by lost souls. It's not a carbon copy, but Abyssal Refuge subordinates itself to Sandy, and that does disappoint me a bit. Strictly speaking, Abscission is a pastiche of Doom 2, but its best parts tamper with our memory. I get a lot less from Abscission maps which amplify the original's traits than those which stray from them. That being said, Abyssal Refuge is Snax's finest survival horror outing, an absolutely pitiless pistol start that immediately pushes you into a jumping course of crushers followed by a time-sensitive game of Punch-Out with pinkies, cacos, and chain gunners too. The scarcity compounds not only the psychic pressure applied by the darkness, quiet, and but also the thrill of rifling through the depots you've unlocked. You don't know the value of a box of shells until you've been hungry. Snax is generous only with Radsuit disbursement, which is an excellent compromise. You have more than enough protection to return to the maze for a soul sphere and root around the bottom of the poison vats for some spare munitions, but all the suits offer is time to explore, and it ticks down fast. Something about slime brings Doom mappers together, as the hub seems to acknowledge. BPRD, Death Destiny, Darkwave, and now Snax. Homage is a vital part of the mapping discipline, but I honestly do like the Chasm better. Grade A-, difficulty A-. Map 25, Exsanguination. Banners, blood streams, and booby traps. The most interesting thing about this map is its lack of keys, which makes the first playthrough feel like a series of unfortunate events more than a forward push. To get to the final fight, you need only to press 2 switches and scooch around a wall of torches. The switches don't telegraph their functions clearly in the fray, which adds some wandering time. Knowing your Sean Green lore can help you find a BFG, which is surprisingly not overkill. I never expect Exsanguination to burn me, but it always does. The crevice fight proportions damaging floor, hit scan, and paint elementals in a way that trips me up, and the ending does not permit mistakes. No health, no ammo, no armor. It's you versus some chain gunners, the immortal Courtyard Revenant, and his Reanimator. Brown caves are tough to pretty up, and I've never thought more about this map than right now, racking my brain for nice things to say about it. At least we finally get to see the sky. Grade C+, difficulty B+. Map 26, Igneous. Igneous is noticeably detail-richer than the preceding maps, textured with a handsome melange of metal, wood, and rock, pummeling your face with furnaces. The visual elegance strongly contrasts with the undulating snore of Snax's 1-minute MIDI, which seems to represent the structure groaning in protest as it warps in stone-melting heat. Weak and minimal geothermal activity precedes the minor eruption in the Flesh Cave, which headlines the least scary cyberdemon we've seen since Map 8. The false red door is a good scare, but if it doesn't do you in, only carelessness will. Igneous isn't bad, but it's not very defined. I consider 21 to 26 Abscission's most unmemorable stretch, but between my Doom 2 prejudices and Snax's intentional parallels, I can't figure out whose fault that is. Grade B-, difficulty B. Map 27, Maligned Annex. One of Abscission's major triumphs over vanilla strictures, Maligned Annex is an intersection of the 3 hellish departments thus far represented in this episode: Abstract Nightmare, Body Horror, and Fire and Brimstone. Snax gets her money's worth from the icon of sin texture and applies the crimson stardust sky immaculately. It holds the map together like dark matter. Get caught staring and the demons will take it as an opening to eviscerate you and hang you up with the others. You have the choice to veer left or go straight at the start, and while you can't turn back for a while if you do the latter, I still recommend it. When the Macubi and Revenants start making it rain, you need a plasma rifle more than a super shotgun. Get the yellow skull, and it's time to contend with a flurry of fatties and skinny bones under burning fluorescence, survive a teleporter backstab, and take the blue skull to the final room. Nowhere in Abscission will you find clearer evidence of Sunder influence than this room. It's a surreal block party with an archvile, foot soldiers, and a peck of paint elementals. They spotted you a BFG to make it fair in their hubris, so show them why pride is called a deadly sin. Maligned Annex reaches new heights of handsomeness, and I appreciate the searing action as much as the brooding in between. Grade A-, difficulty B+. Map 28. Thresholds Beyond. Terror distilled to a monotonic pulse. Hell distilled to fire and shadow. Thresholds Beyond abandons the Doom 2 template for a much bleaker interpretation of the spirit world. If you found Map 32, then you were forewarned of this place, where souls are left to hang in eternal crucifixion and lanky necromancers run amok. Until you find the BFG, you will be at the mercy of your pursuers, although thankfully there are no cyber demons among them. Pit the masterminds against one another before you start meddling with keys, because there's a harvest of bulk cells down there which you can use to clear the caverns, and the final fight needs no extra distractions. From its very first frames, Abscission promised the coming of some appalling horror. Thresholds Beyond is that horror stepping forward. I would have no critiques of this map were it not for one too distant arachnotron which I decided to leave alive to tell my tale of woe. Grade A, difficulty B+. Map 29, Epiclesis, in which Snaxalotl calls upon the undergods to bend vanilla Doom to her will and compact Abscission's themes into a single aberration. Dodging crushing tentacles, scuttling up and down stairs that glimmer and quiver, defile the ground, squelching beneath your boots, you are bearing witness to humanity's consumption. This is not a hero's journey. There's nothing left to save and no one left to defend, but if the universe would be better off with one less planet-eating super ghoul around, then at least you have something to do. Epiclesis leverages Lovecraftian proportions for both intimidation and practical difficulty. There's not much map you can safely stand on, advantaging cacos, paint elementals, and anything that gets you in their sights long range. Just as you're about to summit the scrap heap, an old friend calls your name. The race is on. This is no prophetic vision. Every spawn sound signals another monster joining the fray, and only the writhing tentacles can keep them in check. Hustle to complete the circuit of skull switches and keys, ascend the entrails to a teleporter, and throw the final breaker to bring the entire cavern down on top of you and that massive obscenity. In Abscission, this is what we call a happy ending. Grade A, difficulty B+. Map 30, Abscission. But you didn't die. And neither did it. The job is still unfinished, but the human mind has limits. Your sanity, it seems, has begun to buckle. In a desperate bid to save its skin, the entity musters its last army of monsters, the megawad's largest, and mounts a psychological attack with its last weapon. Invisible but destructible, the decoy can follow you even through walls but can only play attack sounds. It is harmless unless it stands right in front of you while you're firing a rocket and lets out a Romero groan when it dies. Abscission's final battle is one of its most brutal and definitely its least glamorous. If you are the last one left standing after the muddy stampede, you will be caked in filth, more dead than alive. The blur spheres seem symbolic of your becoming a mere silhouette after all you've been through. For a long time, I regarded this map as a disappointment. Big slugfests are not Abscission's calling card, and this one is lengthy, messy, and anticlimactic. There's no glory at the end, only the grim task of crushing the entity's goddamned heart in your hands, and even then you discover that it's powered by the same evil you vanquished at the end of Stickney Installation. Who's to say it'll do the trick this time? It didn't before. You'll never know anyway. If one of you goes, the other does too. I think I understand now. It wasn't disappointment I felt before. It was hopelessness. Grade B+, difficulty A-. So, these are the last words of Abscission's story text. You fulfilled your ambition and dream to save what little remains, yet dread and sorrow weigh upon you heavier than the very wreckage that now entombs you. This megawad resonates with me because it is familiar, but not in the sense that it reminds me of Doom 2. Snax uses Doom 2 to establish common ground with her audience, and then shows it to us through eyes always haunted by overcast skies. Its dark qualities are not so much innate as projected, which the ending text reflects. We've won, but what does it matter anyway? I plucked Abscission from the maybe one day bin for 2 reasons. The first is that it's very well done, and courts non-hardcore players, which a percentage of you will appreciate. The second reason is that Abscission is a sad wad. Designers can speak through games, but can also speak for us through games. And speaking as someone who almost cannot communicate except through talking about other people's work and vicarious pseudo-creative reviews, Abscission hits rather close to home. You can maintain an outward appearance of control, throw yourself into activities, run from that inner tormentor, the critic, Thanatos, whatever you want to call it, but it will catch up with you from time to time because everybody runs out of gas eventually. Maybe talking like this over Doom 2's curtain call makes a silly contrast, but maybe there are some of you watching this who feel intensely alone when you play Doom, or you play Doom because you feel intensely alone. Me too. My final grade for Abscission is an A-. Difficulty-wise, Snax advertises it as slightly above average, but who even knows what that is at this point? I went with a C+. Now for my Dean's List. Valedictorian, Map 10, Industrial Crypt. Salutatorian, Map 13, Prophetic Vision. Class President, Map 17, Predation. And the dunce cap goes to Map 25, Exsanguination. Thank you very much for watching. Now I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge my generous patrons. Aaron Allen, Agile Jackson, Agu XYZ, Alephany, Alexander Levine, Alpha Skeeter, Artisan Talzar, Beatbeard, Birdburn, Blexor, Bochnik Schleba, Bitefire, Kappa Bitch, Captain Wave, Charlie Pryor, Cheese Wheel, Chloe 584, Christophine Place, Daria Romero, Dark Matter 2793, Deefers, Delirium, El Inferno, Emperor Spoon, Endless Moose, Francis T218, Galaquack, General Roasterrock, Goth Ishigo, Gothic Box, Griffin Upchurch, Harvey Funbucks, Henners Lenners, Hexelix, Hot Tomato, Ian Hunter, Idiot Supreme, Jeff Hibbert, Jeremy Francouz, Jimmy Paddock, Jude, Just Some Schmuck, Just Great 98, Killplane, Quan, Large Cat, Leximax, Logan Lazalda, Lord Biscuit the Tossable, Lumnal, Livin' Dead, Mamatic, Mark Rowland, Mars, Master Drew 117, Matthew Gower, Matthew Whithaha, McJimbles, Michael Akins, Michael Jensen, Midget Eminem, Mike Merrick, Mikey Gutierrez, Miracle Water, Mixer, Malak Makane, Mozicon, Mullywiz, Neurometry, Nick XCOM, Knights 108, Number 26, Not Obelisk, Novaseer, NX Avery, Omnibot, One True Purple, Pezeveng Jaj, Philip Coffey, Foo, Ravendesk, Razmataz, Red Doomed Earth, Reese, Reese Anderson, Richter Berg, Roy, Salt Bad Guy, Saf the Coffee Witch, Scoobly, Sean Grant, Snacker Fork, Star Cannon 399, Stonemason, Strongest Fairy, Stupid Nick, Sylvester Priss, Tamariel, Tarakushino, Tavio, Terry J. Pendragon, The Lippy Server, The Refined Odyssey, TJG1289, Turbine 2K5, Two-Time Grime, Velenex, Video Game Lover, Vonehead, Wandering Autumn Leaves, Why Bimo Not a Crab, William Huber, and Yugi Boy 85. Thank you. I appreciate you all very much. This is Mount Pain 27, and I'll see you in the next episode of Dean of Doom.